Welcome to Deep Thought. Your imagination can work against you sometimes. And what do I mean? Now, the imagination is a powerful thing. That's when you really get into some real power, because if you can conceive of it through your imagination, you can achieve it. Because usually it's a case of visualization. Like you can imagine, you can imagine being in that big house. You can imagine wearing a certain type of clothes. You can imagine yourself at a certain weight. And it will be so. Because once you use that imagination, you create the image, and then that sends a message to your subconscious/spirit to do something with it. Like when people really imagine something, really see it, really feel it, they can make it happen, provided it goes into their subconscious. And you let the subconscious just do its work. You don't try to interfere with it. Now, people familiar with The Secret will say, oh yeah, that's The Secret. Well, yeah, it's part of it. But see, here's a problem. It's easy to say, just think about something positive, but sometimes your imagination works against you. What do I mean? Just by the nature of things, like it's easy to say, oh yeah, be positive all the time, but let's be real, a lot of people don't have that experience. Like they've had some serious stuff happen to them, so it's hard to even imagine it. If they've been overweight most of their life or most of their adult life, it's hard to imagine being like svelte again or slim, even if it's been in their memory. It might be a long-term memory, but, you carrying something for so long, or like sometimes you might have some ache or something somewhere and you get used to it. It's hard to imagine what you didn't have beforehand because you get used to it. Or you in certain living conditions. Like say you're in a poor neighborhood or impoverished neighborhood, dangerous neighborhood. It's hard to imagine to be in a safe neighborhood because you've never been there, So your imagination, all you can imagine is it's getting worse. Because here's the thing. Yeah, you could imagine being in a better neighborhood or better circumstances, but what if it's a case where you never experienced it? You never seen it up close. Your imagination will just keep going. Your imagination might get that thought like, yes, I'm living in a better neighborhood. But then your imagination's like, oh, I'll never live here. Because usually what happens, and I alluded to this a second ago, usually when you in some type of situation or you in some type of pain or circumstance, what many people do is just imagine just the pain going away maybe a little bit or adapting to whatever's going on, And that's one way. Another way of imagining, here's a great example. And I know men and women have done this because they've said it. Like, say they have a very attractive mate. Now, the mate has done everything to show that they are loyal to the person. They're not cheating. They all about the person. But then that imagination get in there because, you're not used to it. And you thinking this person is so attractive. I can't imagine. Think about it. Think about all the times we say we can't imagine something. So you can't imagine being with this person. Like somebody else wouldn't want them. Or you start imagining that they cheating. You ever see that? You ever see that with some people? Like they accuse their mates of cheating and the mates haven't done anything. But it's not even anything the mates are saying or doing. The mates might be doing everything, but they imagining it. Like I knew of one guy. If this woman was 5 minutes late coming from work, he'd force her to quit the job because his imagination said, oh, she must be cheating. I'm like, 5 minutes? That's a dude I knew. Almost, but me and him ain't cool no more. I almost don't have a problem calling his name, but almost. But I was like, dude, 5 minutes? How she cheating in 5 minutes, fam? How she cheating? How she cheating, man? That's your imagination. Shit happens. Sometimes coming from a job, you got something to do extra. Like as a tangent, we all been on those jobs where we might be in a service position and we about to close up. It's about 10 o'clock. We closing up already. Somebody come in at, 9:59. Talk about they want something, and, businesses don't like turning down money, So, stuff happens. But this gentleman's imagination took it to the point where, he was accusing her of cheating and going out, and dude was almost ready to whip her ass. I'm like, 5 minutes, dog. 5 minutes. Shit. Maybe she stopped to get you something on the way home. I see if it was like 5 hours, then you might have an argument. Or 2 hours, I could see that. But the imagination take over. Because see, one thing with the imagination, it started going over every negative scenario sometime. It'd be nice if it went over just positive scenarios, and some people can cause that to happen, but then it works against you if it imagines every negative scenario. Like it imagines that your car will break down, and then it imagines that, you won't get this job. But see, just like the positive stuff goes into your subconscious, the negative stuff goes in too. Because let me go back to that thing where someone imagines their mate is cheating. Yeah, a person can actually create that scenario within their mate. Because what happens is if a person sees their mate, they think they're cheating, they start doing stuff that annoys the fuck out the mate. Excuse my Francais on this particular channel. But that's basically what happens. They'll start doing little things, and and then the person will be like, you know what, I can't take this. And then all of a sudden that more chilled person started looking real good to them. And then it actually creates the situation. That's how it can work against you. Or if you're thinking, okay, I need more money, but I imagine, or you on a job and you imagine that you might get fired. You always going in like, oh, I'm going to do something to get fired. You tell your subconscious like, oh, I guess this Bama want to get fired. And so what does it do? It starts having you do stuff. All of a sudden, you waking up real late. You getting to work late. All of a sudden, you feeling real lazy when it was an opportunity for you to go the extra mile. You start doing you snap on that manager when all they said to you was just tell you to do something within the normal course of your job. You see how that works against you? So the thing is, ultimately, every person has to learn how to discipline their imagination. Always imagine the best outcomes, even if you don't have any personal experience with it. Imagine it, because it will come true. Just like if you imagine something, it goes into your subconscious spirit and it manifested something. It does the same exact thing for any negative images. In fact, talking about those negative images, someone astute, hopefully you just picked up on what I just said. But for those who, maybe not, and this is no judgment against you, think about the images that we see in the media. Those are negative images. When you see an image of a father not taking care of their child, or you see an image of a woman acting like a hoe, that's actually imagery. That's actually the purpose of that is to affect the imagination of the people viewing. Think about it. When you look at television and stuff, what do they call them? Programs. And one of the main things is to program people to buy stuff. That's why, like on Saturday, if you watch some of these kids shows, and I don't think there's Saturday morning cartoons anymore. I don't think. Well, now they got 24-hour cartoons. But, you used to have certain cereals, certain toys advertised, programming the kids to the point where they're going to spend money. But that's going into their imagination. So sometimes if your imagination is bad, it can work against you if it's used to program you negatively. So the most important thing is to control your imagination and use it to empower yourself, because otherwise it can be used against you. So anyway, that's all I got for today. Peace and many blessings.